The original Season 4, Episode 6, Bag of Cobras. This is an interesting episode. It kind of had, there were multiple stories, but they all had to do with the same thing, really. And especially by the end of the episode, everything kind of came full circle. But this episode only had to do with the Hollow and its followers. And we get introduced to the character Dominic, who is, well, we don't technically, we get like a better introduction because if I'm remembering right, he's the guy who showed up for like half a second when he was helping Sophia, and that was pretty much it. I was like, okay, so he has an actual important role. If not, that guy, he kind of reminds me of the magician from the other episode, if that's not the same guy. But I was like, okay, so we get, a better introduction to his character. We find out that he's not just some random magician. He is actually, witch, I don't know why I said magician, but he is actually one of the followers of the Hollow. He's clearly important because they actually bring him back, and those could just be the other people working with him, but they actually bring him back to life by the end of this episode. And that was kind of the point. It was like, okay, well, we have these, our two bits of opposition in, both Klaus and Elijah, and they go about it in some interesting ways. Vincent is a part of this episode a lot, actually, and he's the one who's like, okay, well, something's going on here. I know how I can find the person who follows the Hollow. So he ends up finding Dominic, and it's like, all right, so Vincent goes to Elijah, and so they have this conversation. Vincent and Dominic end up fighting, and it's like, all right, that's all said and done. Elijah basically spends the rest of the episode with this guy, and then Klaus, he ends up with Sophia, and she has like the thorn bracelet and stuff, and so they basically have two separate deals going on at the same time because she doesn't really give a crap about the Hollow. She just wants Marcel back. And so that's like her whole thing. She's working with the followers of the Hollow, but she doesn't give a crap about them. And she's like, all right, well, I'll give you all the weapons that I have that can destroy your family, and I'll tell you, every single person that's here to kill you, I'll let you know. All you have to do is let Marcel go free. And so, of course, Klaus makes this deal. She gives up all the weapons. He totally lies to her. He and Vincent team up for a quick second. They take out the two guys. Vincent was super cool in that scene because they're walking towards him, and he was just like, nope. It was almost like some Star Wars stuff. He was just like, nope. And then he just had them like line up against the wall. I was like, that was a pretty cool scene for him. And he talks to them. He's like, I used to be like you guys where I thought that the Hollow could give me, all the power I could possibly imagine. And in the end, it just took away everything that I ever cared about. And I hate him more than anybody else. But that should let you know, I'd rather stand with him than the Hollow. So that should tell you how bad your master truly is. So that was a good scene. And, it was really funny the way they did it because throughout the whole episode, Klaus was kind of on this normal path. He didn't even have to deal with people that he could potentially kill because we have, one of our main villains. They never, they rarely ever kill off the main villain super early. And plus she has like her own third sort of thing going on where it's like you have the Hollow, and then you have, of course, the originals and Vincent and stuff. But then she's doing her own thing because she wants to get Marcel. But as I guessed, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I'm pretty sure it was along the lines of she's probably super old, older than we know, and Klaus probably killed somebody she loved. And shocker, he wiped out, their family wiped out her family, or at least Klaus did. She didn't mention if it was like the whole family of the originals, but she specifically mentioned like, I saw you feasting, on my sister. So I was like, okay, shocker, she's super old and they killed somebody she cared about and she's hated them forever. Okay, that's classic. So she's doing her own thing, and her and Klaus have this back and forth throughout the episode with their deals. And then Klaus gets to this point where he's with Vincent, and he's like, I should like fillet the skin from your flesh or something crazy like that. But he lets him go. And he's quite merciful. And he's like, it's a way to kind of, it's uncommon times, uncommon fits of mercy. So they go in, and Elijah didn't have that same sort of mercy where Dominic was trying to say like, hey, you give us, Vincent now. That's a personal thing because the Hollow, he let it free, but he kind of betrayed it, so it's mad at him. You give us Vincent now. You give us Marcel later. Everything's good. We spare your family. No big deal. And Elijah's like, well, how do I know you'll hold up your part of the deal and all this stuff? And he's like, okay, I didn't have to do that. I was just being nice to you. We'll just wipe you all out because you're weaker than us. And, Elijah didn't take too kindly to that threat. So he holds him over the party and he rips his heart out. And I love the way Klaus came in and he sees him and he rips his heart out and it's just like, man, like these are literally the first two people I spared in the last 5 years. And you going around just ripping hearts out. And it's like, great, 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 great. So ultimately we find out that that was a part of the plan to begin with, because the Hollow, when it spawns, shows up in 4 different distinct locations because it's looking for 4 different things. And it turns out those 4 different things are actually its body. So we may, somewhere down the line, actually get a manifestation, because I mentioned that early on as well. Is it just going to remain as this thing where we see its followers and it's just this aura of power, or will we see a physical body? And I assume with them giving us these clues where, Haley goes on her own mission with Freya, and then she ends up branching off on her own, where she goes through kind of her former belongings and stuff related to her family. She finds like just a bottom, jawbone. So she ends up finding a piece of this very ancient witch. We find out that the blade, which they actually show Klaus put up in the safe, was actually a bone of this witch as well. So they ended up getting that from the mansion during the party. They already had it, so they succeeded there, and the death was actually just a distraction for everyone. So they already got that. They bring Dominic back to life anyway, so now there are 2 other bones kind of just out in the wilds, and I guess they have the rest of the body, and that's why, maybe this person, whoever's bones these are, maybe the rest of the body is actually buried somewhere, probably in the graves that I forgot exactly what it's called. But, maybe their body is, basically there except for those 4 little scattered pieces. So we have 2 body parts left over, and that's all they need to find in order for this, ancient hollow to actually be brought back. And we might actually see a physical representation of the hollow and all of its insane power and its true power, because even Dominic mentions a spirit can't manifest its full potential. So I'm excited to see where they take that, just because it's this show, it's TV in general. Whenever there's that sort of hint where it's like, we could have another random actor come in and play the manifestation of this thing, it always happens. So admittedly, I'd be very, very shocked if the villains didn't end up getting all 4 of the pieces that they needed, and they actually ended up hiring a new actor and they brought someone else in to play the manifestation of the hollow. I'd be very surprised if that actually didn't end up playing out. But either way, I'm looking forward to what we got. You kind of coming our way. Marcel is still trapped underneath, but of course, Josh is able to get some information. So, they're gonna, I don't know, maybe they'll storm it. I don't know what their real plan could possibly be. The tunnel is sealed off. They have to be in the actual, area to go down like the main route. And of course, you have Klaus and Elijah there. It's like, why are you going down to the dungeon, basically? So I don't know what their plan could possibly be to get Marcel out, but they know exactly where he is. The originals now know what they're looking for as far as these bones. Vincent knows that he's a bit of a target, or at least I assume he does. I don't know if they really talked to him, because Elijah was, doing his own thing after Vincent left. So I don't know if they told Vincent that the Hollow was like kind of gunning for him or not, but I would assume he knows, because he's helping them out, because that's like the whole thing is like he's helping protect Hope, so he needs to know exactly how important he is as far as a target, to the Hollow and his followers. So I would assume he knows that, but I like what we got in this episode. It was one of those claustrophobic episodes. It all really took place in like one section outside of Haley stuff, and then we had like, the beginning of the episode and the end of the episode, but pretty much everything in the middle was like this party the entire episode. And I thought that was kind of cool. It was a cool way to kind of use just this one location and really utilize the space. Then it jumps back to Haley a little bit, in between. But for the most part, it was just, them at the, at their home and having this crazy party, and we see different characters interact. We have a little bit of stuff early on in the episode with Keelan and Haley, so they're kind of building up that relationship between Keelan and Freya, and they certainly do it at the end where, the party ends and they talk about going to a bar and stuff. So they're certainly building up that potential relationship, which, as I mentioned, it's totally fine, but this show being what it is, they kill people all the freaking time, and I swear to God, I just remembered who the actress is that plays Keelan, because she was in the show Containment. I mentioned that before, where they bring a lot of characters over. I just remembered that. That's, holy crap. That just like blew my mind, because I'm like, crap, I knew she kept looking familiar. I may have mentioned that before and just forgot, but for some reason that just like, it just instantly hit me like, holy crap, she's from Containment. I may have mentioned that before though. But anyway, they kind of touch on that a little bit towards the end of the episode, but I'm certainly excited to see where things head in next week's episode, and just seeing how they kind of go about with this sort of treasure hunt a little bit. Like, they don't know where the bones are. They don't know why the Hollow shows up in 4 distinct locations. So there's a lot of elements to this that they don't really have a handle on. They have characters that can get their hearts ripped out, and then they're brought back by clearly insanely powerful magic. The Hollow has a ton of followers, already, and then they already have the thorn bush. I'm sure, I know Klaus was like, thanks for relinquishing all your weapons. I would assume, considering her saying it's enough to kill your family like 10 times over, I highly doubt she gave him every single bit of that weapon. And she kind of plays it up a little bit at the end where he's kind of getting super cocky and stuff, and she's like, don't overplay your hand, because I hate you a lot longer. I've hated you longer than I've known Marcel. And I'm like, you wouldn't say that if you didn't have a way to kind of back up that hatred still. And I'm like, considering the 10 times over thing, she's probably still got a buttload of thorns that can kill all of the originals. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if she was like, yeah, I just lied. You lied to me, I lied to you. So that wouldn't shock me at all. And it's just smart, if I'm being totally honest, to say, here's a bunch. They're thorns. Is he going to count them? I doubt it. So just give them a bunch and then still have a bunch left over anyway. So that's just my guess. I don't think that she would really give up every single thing. And really, she may have only given up the bracelet that she actually had on her, but they kind of made it seem like she left and actually came back and gave him all the weapons. Because he was like, I'm glad I had you relinquish all your weapons and stuff like that. And I'm like, that just isn't smart. Even making the deal, as much as she said there was, you could just, a thorn, done. That's all it takes. So I don't know. We'll see what happens if she truly gave up everything, and then that would screw her over if she did, because of course the followers of the Hollow would know, like, you gave up literally our only weapon, because that's the only real big thing, is like, we can wipe out your whole family because they have the thorn bush. So I'm sure she didn't actually give up everything. It was just that one bracelet she was wearing, and she could just go to her buddies and get a whole lot more. So we'll see how that plays out. Maybe she won't be in the greatest of standing, because of course it'll be like, well, how did they know that the people were like behind the house and stuff anyway? So they might have an issue with her in the next episode, but I'm looking forward to what we get. Certainly enjoyed this one, but of course would love to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And there's a lot that actually happened in this episode. They did some pretty good stuff leading into some of the crazier things that I think we should be expecting for this season. But I definitely want to know how you guys think they're going to end up rescuing Marcel. He seems to play a big part in the promo in general, so it seemed like Dominic was talking to him. That could just be, once again, it's a promo, so they always cut him up weird. So it seemed like somehow he ends up escaping in the next episode anyway. But I would love to know your guesses on how anyone could get into the mansion and then actually break him out of there and escape without Klaus, Elijah. Freya is like my main thing, because it's like, if you have anyone who knows magic, they can just brush past the originals, including Haley. But Freya knowing magic and Vincent basically working with them, even though he wants to get Marcel out, his whole thing is like, well, I need them to help me fight the Hollow, because they're the strongest I've got. Like, if I sacrifice the three of them, like in Klaus, Haley, and Elijah, and I get Marcel, that's like one for three is not a really good deal. So it's like, just leave him trapped and alive, use them to beat the Hollow, and then make sure they're gone, and then I'll help Marcel. So I feel like he'd end up helping Freya defend, the home anyway, and kind of keep Marcel there. As little as he might want to, I feel like that's how it will play out. But I would love to know your theories on how he ends up, being set free in this next episode. If it's in the next episode, but just how he ends up being set free in general. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.